The Black Alchemist is a true account of very real events. They took place between 1985 and 1988. I first published The Black Alchemist as a book in 1988. It was a runaway success and went on to become a cult classic. In 2015, I re-released the book for the first time. It's been completely updated and shows also the Black Alchemist saga is not over. The story began in May 1985 when myself and a psychic colleague named Bernard visited a small village in the county of Sussex in southern England. We were there as part of a psychic quest, looking for an artifact we believed had been brought across from ancient Egypt. However, when we were led to a very small secluded church at a place called Lullington, things did not turn out the way that we had expected. To begin with, we could not find any artifact relating to ancient Egypt, and as we waited for further inspiration, Bernard felt as if, in his words, black magic had gone on in this place. He started to get a headache.
It's the second time I've wanted to stop here.
Something here.
Really sharp pain back and neck.
Right. So something here. Try and tune.
I don't know.
Touch a tree. Tug a tree or something.
Sharp pain in the back of the neck here. For some reason. Oh shit!
What?
It's like really burning pain right at the back of my neck.
But he was drawn towards a clump of stones, some part of the foundations of a former building on the site. And beneath this, he discovered a spearhead made of shale, and it was covered in magical symbols. And these symbols suggested that someone had placed this object there as part of some kind of occult ritual. Shortly after the discovery of the shale spearhead at Lullington in Sussex, Bernard consented to psychometrise this object. Now, psychometry is the feeling of images and impressions relating to an object that will come into the mind and reveal themselves. He did this and saw glimpses of a house in which a figure was carrying out magical acts, and also the process of alchemy, the transformation of base matter into a pure state, which is reflected in the alchemist's own transformation from a mortal into an immortal soul. Shortly after Bernard had psychometrized the spearhead, he had a very disturbing dream where he found himself back in this same house, and this time he felt that the Black Alchemist had gone too far, that he'd actually destroyed himself. And as he was trying to write down this dream, which he felt was some kind of prophetic vision of what would happen in the future, he found himself once again linked in mind with this figure that we'd now begun to refer to as the Black Alchemist. He saw the same house. He saw himself going up the stairs, along a corridor, into a room full of laboratory equipment and old books. And he could see this figure seated. And as he approached him, this figure turned around and threw this ash or powder towards Bernard, instantly waking him up out of this vision. And this was the beginning of the confrontations between ourselves and the Black Alchemist. Very soon after, we found the spearhead at Lullington. Bernard began picking up on other activities relating to the Black Alchemist, and we would go to the location and find more evidence of what was happening. And very slowly these sites seem to be getting closer and closer towards our own county of Essex. And it began to dawn on us that the Black Alchemist was trying to find us. He knew that somebody was now interfering with his work and wanted to know who they were, why they were interfering, and how they related to him. In October 1987, England experienced its first hurricane in nearly 300 years. The winds came unannounced. The fact that they came unannounced and the fact that they struck with such ferocity seemed to trigger off in a large number of people very similar dreams and visions relating to wolves, wolf-headed individuals, hag-like women, dark goddesses under various different names, but the most common of which seemed to be Hecate. And what seems to have occurred at the height of the hurricane is that the Black Alchemist distilled this force, this energy associated with this natural event to try and accelerate his own magical operations onto a level that we had never experienced before. What he believed is that the fact that literally hundreds of thousands of trees were destroyed left bare gaping open wounds on the landscape, that he could somehow exploit this openness to actually enter into the matrix, the grid of the earth itself. Bernard died a few years ago, and he had felt that the whole Black Alchemist saga was so disturbing that at a certain point he said, I cannot handle this anymore, I cannot give you any more information. But even after this time, he still had dreams and visions, and occasionally we would follow this up simply to try and put a stop to it. During the rewriting of the book for this new edition, myself and my colleague Richard Walt went down to the Sussex Downs once more. Richard started picking up information that suggested that the Black Alchemist, or certainly his spirit, was still around and was ready to engage us once again in another whole chapter.
It's like somebody drawing breath really, really deeply, like going.
Many psychics believe that the Black Alchemist is now dead. However, what is clear is that now, 30 years later, he is still there, out there somewhere, as a spirit presence. The entire interactions, the confrontations that took place between the Black Alchemist and ourselves is detailed within the book itself, and these show an incredible series of very disturbing events, very real events that troubled both myself and Bernard. And I must stress to everybody that watches this, please do not try and connect with him in any way. This is something which I seriously suggest that you stay away from completely. Please read the book, be aware of everything that happens, but don't get involved yourself.